What we will be doing today is learning how to fillet walleye. First, we'll go over everything that you'll need to have before you get started. First thing, you want to make sure you have a lot of newspaper laid down, because if you don't, things can get everywhere. You don't want to have a mess. Next thing, what you'll need is a good cutting board. These are not that hard to find, but they're good to have. Another thing that you'll need is a good fillet knife. And you got to make sure it's sharp too. I use is just a regular bucket. And what this is for all the trash that comes from my walleye. Last but not least, just a trash bag. And I'll use this regular 13-gallon trash bag and put it in that bucket. And that's what I'll use to actually put all the fish guts in once we get finished filleting. What else we need? A bowl of water. I put a little bit of ice in there so that way that water can be cold. If you're filleting a lot of fish, it helps a lot of times to have ice in there to keep those fillets nice and chilled for you. You don't want warm water in there when you're trying to fillet your fish. All right, let's get started. All right, what I typically do is I start with the cheeks first. Not sure why, you can do them last if you want to. I tend to start first, but this is a nice piece of meat right here. Insert just the tip of the knife and start going around. There's a bone in there. If you go around in that circular motion, you'll be able to get to the edges like that. Also go around top part as well. And then so you can start lifting that back. When you lift it back, you can see that meat back in there. Show you like this. See if you can see that. And then you start to take the knife and go a little bit deeper in there. You can start cutting that back. And then upturn a little bit, and then you can just pull that piece right off of that skin. You see how you did that? And you got you a nice piece of meat right there. And those are the walleye cheeks, really good. So I'll flip it over, and then I'll start again with this side. Just insert the tip and start working my way around. You know, the more you do it, the better you'll get, obviously. Start getting that, do my upturn. And then I can just peel that right off. Another nice nugget. All right, so now we're gonna take our knife and we're gonna start right here, right behind this fin. There's a hard part right here, which is the gill. And then there's the meaty part. We're gonna start with the angle going down. Just take our knife and just cut straight down. Then we're gonna take our knife and start cutting just with the tip right along that back fin. And that just goes right all the way down. We're going to carry it all the way down to the tail of the walleye. So after I cut that down, what we're going to do is stick our finger right under there, and we're trying to find those bones that are in the middle. There we go. There's those bones. Found them. And we start cutting right along those bones. And we're gonna go all the way down. You see how you see those bones in there? Cut right down those bones. There we go. Make sure we got it from up here, and that's the top of the rib cage right there. Once we get right past this fin right here, we're gonna go ahead and stick our knife through, all the way through, angle it down a little bit, and just start going downward. And we're gonna let that little bit stay right there. We're not gonna go all the way through yet. We're gonna also keep this piece on because we want to have that piece still there. So we flip this baby over and we start repeating the same thing on the other side. Just go angle it down like this, and then what we're gonna do is start again with the tip going all the way down. And yes, this knife feels a lot sharper than just your regular household knife. So you make sure, if you want to really fillet fish and fillet them fast, you want to make sure you get a nice fillet knife. All right, so I'm lifting up on this, and I'm just gonna go ahead, just like I did the other side, find those ribs, those bones that's in the middle. I'm just going right along that bone line and trying to work my way on down. And if you can do it without getting your knife caught in the fins, that would be awesome, right? Still going. And on this side, I'm gonna just go ahead and stick my knife through early and then just go ahead and start working my way on down. And I'm gonna go all the way through on this one, all the way through. So now that we have that all the way through like that, you see how you can lift up on that. I'm gonna cut a little bit more off of that part, and I'm gonna go ahead and cutting right along that rib cage. You see how we're doing that? And that meat's folding back. We're peeling that back. And it shouldn't be that hard to cut right along that rib cage. And now that we have that, and cut that a little bit more, I can just go ahead from here and just start cutting right on back. I'll show you what to do next, but I'm gonna go to the other side and try to get the other part cut off, all right? So, flip it back over. On this side, we'll start cutting this one away from the rib cage again. There we go. And now that we got that cut, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this all the way through right there. And then I can go ahead, just start cutting through there as well. Cut that part off. Now I can discard this, because we don't even need that anymore. We're done with that. We got the cheeks, we got the meat off. All right, so now that we got that piece off, there's usually a line of bones that can go right along here. So what I want to do is I want to make a cut. And looks like we got a little bit of the rib in there, so I want to cut that off as well. Since we're filleting and not trying to get any bones, we want to make sure we can feel also to see if we got bones. I see these other rib ones right here. See how I'm cutting right along there to get those off? And I can get that off right there. All right, so there's still the little fine bones, these rib bones right here, right along that line. So what I'll do is I'll take my knife and I'll start cutting right down there, and I'm pressing it really hard down. I get all the way right here where this rib starts to come out, and then I'll stop it right there. And then I'll go on the other side of this. I started right there, and I'll cut this right along there, and then I'll go right to that spot where I was at, and then I stop. All right, now that I have that done, I can go ahead and start taking the scale and the skins off. And what you do is you start down here, pressing your fingers right down there and angling that knife, and you start going back and forth with your knife. What I tend to do is almost just to slice through, and then I'll lift back up on it, slice through again. Some people just keep going back and forth until they get all the way done. Everybody has their own way. The way I do it, slice through. And I'm getting that skin off. I'm getting actually really close to where that skin is. So I'm doing pretty good with this. Bring it back some more. Keep going along with that. There we go. And now we have the skin actually off. I'm gonna get rid of this middle piece that I was telling you about, had the bones. We don't want that in there. Discarded that. And we don't want the skin or the scales anymore, so we'll get rid of that. And now we have our nice fillet. We have our nice fillet right there. So another thing that you want to do is you also start filling along here again to see if there's any extra bones that you didn't get. Right now I didn't get any extra bones, so that's good. So what we want to do now is go ahead and get some of the fat that's still on here. We want to get that off. That gives a oily and fishy taste sometimes, or a lot of times when you see how that that pink stuff is right there, that gives a really bad taste when you're eating fish. So you want to kind of trim some of that off, and that's not that hard to do. I'll start at the top right here, and I'll just start taking my knife and going through. Now this takes some time to do, but your fish is going to taste way better when you take all of that off. And there you have it. Here is a nice fillet, really good. That's what we want, just all the white meat that's on there. We want to get rid of all of that, we say, what color is that? Pink fat that's on there. Trim all that off. And that's going to be ready to get cooked. Okay, here are all my fish guts. Ew! All right, I'm going to take this downstairs, put it in the deep freezer, tie it up, deep freeze it. Trash day is going out. All right, so let's bag the fish. I have my scale here because we got to control the portions, and we got the fish right here. So we're going to see how much it weighs. Right now, there we go, 1 3/4 pounds. You can also put the date on there. That's helpful when you're going through the freezer and you're looking for some fish. You typically want to get the fish that's the oldest and then start with that one. All right, so now we got it labeled, got that in there. So let's just start stuffing the bag. Some people will bag the fish up just like this. What I typically do is put water in the bag, and that helps preserve that fish longer. So here you have it. Water is in the bag, and that'll give it a little bit longer life in that freezer. Learning how to fillet walleye can be tricky, but I'm glad you watched. Hopefully this has helped you. Again, practice, practice, practice. You'll get better at it. Thanks so much for watching. Post a comment, like, and subscribe. And always keep fishing.